Alright, thanks again for watching. What we have here at helpfixmyfinances.com is a continuation from our last video on budgets. What we have is an overview of everything we input in our last video. And what we see here is that our annual income on an after-tax basis is this amount here. Our housing expenses are $99.60. And our living expenses are $19,250, and so on and so forth. What we see though is that after every month, on an annual basis, when we take a look at what we're really left with, we're in the hole $8,312. This should prompt us to go back and take a look at where we're really spending money that we don't need to spend. In some cases, that could mean spending less on dining out, for example, maybe spending less on gifts. And what we'll do is we'll go back and we'll reevaluate those numbers. Okay, so I'm just going to put the video on pause and go back and edit those numbers. Okay, now what I've done is I've updated a couple of the figures here. I've essentially cut our living expenses down by about $9,000. And that includes reducing Christmas gifts as in half, cutting back our vacation from a $2,500 trip every year down to a $1,000 trip every year. I'm just making some cuts where we could really make a bit of a difference there. And obviously, it's not a tremendous amount. We're only left with roughly $71 or $850 at the end of the year in surplus, so it doesn't give us much. So we, probably would want to go back and cut back even more. But for the purpose of this video, it does what it needs to do. Well, one of the things we'll see next is that after our first paycheck, we're in the hole about $988. Okay, and after our second, we're actually showing a surplus of $882. Now, what the monthly repayment plan strategy will give us is over the next 3 months, okay, and it'll be the same for each of these because we're not saving a whole bunch every month. Over the next 3 months, how we should repay our debt. And in this example, we should be putting $271 to that credit card, $500 to the student loan, and then $300 to our MasterCard. Now, if you remember, these are the minimum payments that we put in, which is what our credit card statements and student loan statements would tell us. That is a strategy. At the bottom, we can save it or print it so that we have it with us when we go to the next stage, which is develop a repayment plan. And we'll cover that in our next video. But in the meantime, we might want to go back and make some additional cuts. I won't here, but it is something that this amount alerts us to. If it's not substantial enough, there's definitely areas where we can probably cut back even more. In almost every case, it'll come down to our living expenses. So with that in mind, we now have what we need to get our repayment plan completed, and we'll touch base on that on the next video.